Today, we're going to discuss the issue of complacency and laziness and how it can have a much wider impact on your business than you think, and the fact that it may not be as obvious as you think it is. First topic I want to cover is identifying the feeling of stagnation. First of all, what is stagnation, right? In my view, stagnation is essentially you've hit this wall, right? You may have started the business, you may have begun implementing all these things, and you were doing great, you were achieving all these goals, and then suddenly you had still hit those goals maybe, but you weren't continuing, right? And so in my view, that is stagnation. And I would almost call it the silent killer. I'll give you guys an example. When I first started, I worked a government contractor position. I didn't enjoy it, and it's why I left and started my own junk removal business. And my first goal when I started the business was make as much as what I did in my old job. I think that's a perfectly fine goal, especially to start, right? You get back to your old income amount. And again, once I hit that, I was like, freaking awesome. I know I can live off of that. It's what I did before. And for a little while, that's what I aimed for. That's what I was achieving. And then I realized, I was like, I didn't start this business to make exactly what I did before. I was happier doing it, sure, but that's not why I started it, right? And I was also working a lot harder and all sorts of things. That's when I realized, I was like, holy cow. I didn't even realize. That's the problem, is you don't even realize. The stagnation, it kind of just creeps up on you. It's not one big thing that suddenly causes you to stagnate. It's a lot of things. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I sat around waiting for calls. I played a lot of video games. I didn't manage my time wisely. I didn't do networking. There were all of these opportunities I was missing out on because I was satisfied with what I had. And so I was stagnating. We've talked about identifying the feeling of stagnation, but you've also got to recognize the sign, right? And I covered this a tiny bit, but it's essentially no longer overcoming goals, or maybe not even making goals, right? You've got this feeling of contentment, and I think there's a difference between contentment and stagnation. And I think with stagnation, it's you basically stop making new goals, or at the very least, you stop realistically trying to achieve those goals. You may still have them on goal, like those New Year's resolutions. Most people fail on their New Year's resolution because they write it down, they may announce it on a post, but they're not serious about doing it, right? And so that's what I mean, is not seriously pursuing a goal. That would be, in a sense, stagnation, in my opinion. And so what we really need to do here is you need to be self-aware and analyze what's going on here, and that can be really hard to do. Another example of it would be, and I would say stagnation and laziness, they're related. I think laziness leads to stagnation, right? So you may have, let's say, you've had a long day and you've had this customer's email. He's asking for a quote on a project, and you've been putting it off. That can long term lead to stagnation, because if you don't respond back to him in time or at all, or you may lose out on that business, and that individual customer may not impact you, but 10, 15, 20 customers that you miss out on like that, it's all those small little actions. You may not realize it in the moment. You may think, you may even justify it. You may say, he's not going to go with me anyway, right? Well, you don't know that. And with an attitude like that, you're going to miss out on a lot of business. And I think before you know it, 10, 20 years may pass. And so you really have to be self-aware. I think that's why it's really important to have metrics set up. Continue to update your goals, make them actionable. Otherwise, again, it'll creep up on you. And I would argue, what's the point of getting into being an entrepreneur if you're just going to settle for less? If you're just going to drop the ball? You already did the hard part of starting it. You did the hard part of getting to where you are today. Why would you stop? You're doing yourself a disservice. So I hope this motivates some of you here to, keep going, and maybe you need to, If you're feeling demotivated, then maybe, change the angle a little bit. For us, I think I started getting demotivated by the small jobs that we were constantly getting, because we don't profit on the small. For our junk removal business, we don't profit on the single item pickups, right? It's kind of a waste of time. But what we do now is we give them coupons, so we re-encourage them to use us again, or we give them incentives to refer people to us. And so now, yes, it may be a small job right then and there, but we've got this other potential set up. Is every single customer going to lead to that? No, but it's a motivator. And the other thing is too, we ask them for the Google reviews. That helps us. So you may have to look at something that's demotivating you and that may be leading to stagnation, and see, address the issues. Don't just ignore them. Find out why am I stagnating? Why am I being lazy? And address them and fix them. And to be real with you guys, I think this is something that you constantly will battle. It's not something where after 5 years of business now, boom, you've figured it out and it's never going to come back. No, I think it's something, realistically, it's like having a garden, right? You can have the most perfect garden in the world, and guess what? You're still going to have to weed. Every week, every 2 weeks, you're going to have to go out there and pull out the dandelions. You're going to have to pull out the plants that you don't want growing in your yard. Every single garden in the world that's maintained is maintained like that. It's going to be the same exact logic with your business. Now, you can have protocols set up, right? You can check every 2 weeks. You can check the garden every 2 weeks, right? But it's not something that's just magically, you never have to deal with it again. I think that's one of the things you have to stay on top of. To my next point, which is, you have to make the shift. You have to make the decision to tackle these things, and you need to make them practical. Don't just say, oh, I'm no longer going to be stagnant. What does that mean? Right? You got to say, okay, I am going to answer these emails in the evening, or I am going to get up earlier in the morning so I can do X, Y, Z. Again, address it. It's not happening for no reason. So identify what that reason is, and solve for it. That would be my advice. That's what's worked for me. And again, it's something that will continuously come up. Really important to stay motivated. If you're not motivated, you're not going to make it work, realistically. You're the driving force of your business. If you're not motivated, now you may have a business partner and other things like that, but at the end of the day, you're doing your business a disservice if you're not motivated. So find out what the issue is and resolve it. Make the shift, make the pivot. That's what we did. The small jobs weren't motivating, so we did I implemented some things to make them more motivating. And I also pivoted to really making the focus the big jobs, right? So I, did the small job for Susie, but her neighbor, John, needed his whole house cleaned out. And I would never have acquired John if I hadn't done the job for Susie, right? That's one way that I shifted my mindset to essentially motivate myself. I encourage you all to hopefully what I've said here has given you guys something to think about. I hope that it helps you implement. I hope it helps you get past the stagnation. I know it's really frustrating sometimes, and you feel like there's nothing you can do, and you blame yourself. Don't. Just break it down. Get a sheet of paper out. Find out what's bothering you. Really think about what's causing that laziness, what's causing the stagnation, and start tackling it. You may have to do some trial and error. Like I said, I implemented numerous little things, and I think what the really tough thing is that we as humans, we think that the solution has to be sensational. In order to achieve results, you have to have sensational results, or sensational solutions, I should say. So, solving this stagnation issue for me, it wasn't, it doesn't sound that exciting. Oh, give them gift cards, give them coupons, get them to do Google reviews. That doesn't necessarily sound exciting, but that's what solved my problem. And it was a couple small things that have now, created a solution. So with that said, I encourage you to check out the rest of my channel. Comment down below. Let me know what your stagnation issue is. Maybe we can come together here and brainstorm some solutions for you. I encourage you to check out my other videos on the channel. Hopefully they are insightful to you. Hopefully they provide you solutions. And if you do like the content, I'd appreciate a like. I'd appreciate the subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.